Hi everybody, Nick from Dynamic Fitness and Strength. Standing next to our Edge Series Glute-Ham developer. We'll show you some keys on the Glute-Ham developer itself and how to develop a strong posterior chain, as well as keys to look for as far as mobility and doing the lift properly with younger athletes. So keys to a good Glute-Ham developer are going to be that you have a good solid round pad on there. You don't want to let your body just cave into the pad. If your pads are worn out, get new pads or get a new GHD altogether. It's good, especially for beginning GHD users, to have some type of knee pad there, so that they don't have to dig their knee into the edge of the half round pad. As well as being able to make sure it's multi-purpose, having some type of handle for reverse hypers or some type of grip area so that they can perform reverse hypers as well as glute hams, and perhaps GHD sit-ups if you want to do that as well. Big keys on this is making sure that your athletes are stretched and warmed up before using it. That's the key, because it has a big isolation in your hamstrings, and any type of cold muscles, you can risk straining those at all. The key behind a Glute-Ham developer is to not just be able to pull your body up. The key is to be able to get your hamstrings and your glutes along, combined with your abs, to be all holding together, again, holding that postural position, to be able to pull back up to develop the posterior chain that it's going to create more explosiveness in your other lifts, as well as just more explosiveness and control within your body when it comes to actually being on the field play. Some keys with beginning athletes or younger athletes is to remember that you want to start small in the movement and work your way up. A lot of times in the old school was you have to do full range of motion to get any benefit out of the lift at all. Usually full range of motion is dependent on the athlete. So start small and work your way down. Within a Glute-Ham developer motion, have your athletes start, gradually go down and work an eccentric motion as they go down, and work that eccentric motion before you start throwing them down to parallel or below parallel on the positioning to try to pull themselves up. You'll avoid a lot of strains and a lot of low back twisting when they're trying to come up. Other keys on a good Glute-Ham developer is to make sure you have these solid points right here. These solid point grip points are going to help younger athletes, again, trying to get into position and work that eccentric motion. A good solid base, as you can see, the Edge Series right here is a solid tank. You don't want a lot of movement out of it, because the more movement you have out of your Glute-Ham developer, the more movement your body has to do to try and stabilize. You can't work specific muscles or get a proper movement if you're trying to just stabilize yourself the entire time. That includes having lengthened stabilizing legs out in the front, having a vertical and a horizontal adjustment so that you can adjust it to the athlete. They shouldn't just be jumping on there and using whatever's there, because their body is different than everybody else's body. Another key is a big durable back plate, because usually the back plate is going to be the first thing that's going to twist, move, or come loose. So you want to make sure it's a good durable back plate that they can transfer their energy into and push off as needed. All right, today we're going to work with the GHD reverse hypers and Glute-Ham developer. What you want to do with a good GHD is get it into position before you get in there. A lot of times athletes will just jump into it right away, and then they either slip, fall, tweak something, or they have to get back out and reposition it. And typically GHDs aren't something you want to get in and out of repeatedly, because we want to be into a tight press position. So I've got this preset where I put it up vertically. My knee should be pressed heavily into the foam pad with my heel pressed back into here. Vertically, it's a preference. I like to be a little bit higher on my position, so this one's a little bit higher. But if I want to adjust it down, so I'm going to just adjust it down just an inch or two, so that my knees are tracking during the GHD similar to where my knees would be. So I'm going to unscrew this, just tightens it up, makes it a little bit more stiffer. You want a GHD with a lot of adjustments on it. If it doesn't have adjustments and ways to tweak it, you're just constantly shifting and moving, and you're trying to adjust your body to what the equipment's doing. Yeah, functional training, you want to be unbalanced, but you don't want to be surprised. So what we're going to do is we're just adjust it down just slightly. So right to that position, I'm actually going to go up just a tad, and then tighten my position, my adjustments. And that should be solid all the way around, rock steady, that I can just use the entire unit. I'll adjust it again for the reverse hypers, because I'll need a different position then. When you're climbing in, step right up on the convenient little step pad here. If you don't have a step pad there, step completely over the unit before you go up. Don't try to just lift yourself into position. Get over it and then swing your leg back. We have the little step pad here that makes it a lot easier, so I just step into position. Get my knee up on there. I'm going to put my body right in here, pressed in. Come to the other side, and I'm pressed into position here.
All right, once I'm in position, my goal out of this is not to just bend at my waist and come back up. I want to keep a straight body and bend from my knees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way out to a full position, just like an athlete would do when they're starting off. So we want to get into position. You're going to let your knees come up a little bit higher on the pad. And I'm going to go out as far as I can. Now when I'm out in this position, they're already going to feel their hamstrings. But see how I have a bend in my back? I don't want this bend. I want a straight body. So I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Again, posture is everything. Pulling up tall, abs are in, glutes are tight now. I'm going to slightly relax them to allow me to come down. And I'm just going to go forward until my hamstrings kick in and I can start to feel it. Now for most athletes starting off, this is it. It's a pull back motion. You go out to here, keep the body straight. It's a pull back motion. That's it. That's what they're going to have to work in the beginning. Until they really get it down, that's going to have to be as far out as they can. As they start to develop a little bit more, you'll be able to extend and push off in your legs and get to a straight body. As I get out there, I'm going to get out, be in position, get out to a straight movement, straight out where my body's here. Then I pull my whole body back in, okay? Abs are tight. See how I didn't bend in here? I just pull back. That's what gets your hamstrings working with your mid-body, your abs, your glutes to pull you all back in. You'll see a lot of people do them where they bend at the butt and come back in like this. I took everything completely out of it. All you're just doing is isolating a hamstring, probably risking straining it. Once I get out there in a full motion, I'm going to get all the way out, do a slight bend down, come back up, all with just the body moving, rotating around this half moon pad. So I'm going to go out, hand position, cross your hands. Eventually you can use a weight, hold a band. There's lots of variations there. We have band anchor points down at the bottom if you want to add a band to it. But for now, I'm just going to hold my hands in my chest to get them out of the way. So I'm just going to extend out, go out as far as I can to parallel. I keep my body in that position, squeeze my glutes, squeeze my hamstrings, pull it all back up in one motion. That's your hamstring glute developer.
So reverse hyper is going to be almost the exact opposite of a Glute-Ham developer motion. With the Glute-Ham developer, you're pulling your upper body up, using your hamstrings and your glutes to stabilize and pull yourself back into position. With a reverse hyper, your upper body is more supported and you're trying to pull your lower body back up to it. Here's where you get a lot of control within your abs and preventing low spine, lower back twisting and pulling. It requires a lot more out of the glute. On the reverse hyper, the keys is actually a lot of upper body positioning. A lot of coaches are focusing on lower body and just seeing their lower body getting pulled up. You want to focus heavily on what's going to be right here, which is going to be their abs and their low back, to make sure that their hamstrings are pulling through their glutes into their low back to be able to stabilize and lift up, as opposed to just twisting around on their spine. Reverse hyper is going to work the opposite motion. So just before on the GHD, I was pulling up through my hamstrings using my upper body as a resistance weight. Now what I'm going to do is flip that around. I've adjusted this back a couple notches to allow so that my hips can nice and easily settle right on this half moon pad. And then I fully extend and either reach across the top or reach on the sides. I prefer to reach on the sides to start off, and then other times I'll go to the top. What the sides allow you to do is pull your shoulders down, but they don't allow you to get stretched out over the top. Having a top grip position is going to allow me to roll those shoulders over the top and create an overlie just like this, so I can work my posterior glutes as if I was in an overhead position. I'm going to adjust this up a little bit. Just a click. Tighten it up so it's nice and solid. Come around to the front side. Now, just like with the Glute-Ham developer, you can put pins in here and have a resistance, so a rubber band resistance as well, depending on how you want to lift with it. Starting off, just use your own body weight. It's a great starting point because typically what you'll see is flexibility plays a big role. Having tight hip flexors is going to allow you to basically make it so that when you raise your legs up, you're just going to rotate your hips into your spine. What we want to do is pull in. As you're pulling up, they're going to pull into your abs as hard as you can, squeeze your glutes to raise your legs up like a drawbridge, instead of trying to just twist and bend and pull from your low back. You should feel it through your low back into your glutes and a lot of ab work. If you're just feeling it in the low back, it's probably because you're just pulling your legs up and allowing your spine to just bend on itself. Your spine isn't a bending hinge point. That's what your hips are for. Use those hips. So what I'm going to do is position myself over the top. Our GHDs will come in a solid pad or a split pad. If you're going to be doing reverse hypers, split pad's the way to go. We want to have a split pad. It allows for more room. Grip onto here.
Get myself in a position, tighten my abs as tight as I can. I'm going to squeeze my glutes and pull my body up to straight. Guide it back down. Pull those abs in. For over the top, I can let those shoulder blades rest below and behind me and pull through. It's a difficult one to master, especially to not let those hips rotate too much. They're going to move a little bit, they have to. Your glutes just don't have that much range of motion on the reverse side. So they're going to have to move a little bit, but the key is to not let your whole spine and just move from your glutes. You want to make sure that your legs are coming up to form a straight line. From your ear, shoulder, hip to heel should all be in a line. That's what we're looking for.
For more information on the Glute-Ham developer, you can go to www.mydynamicfitness.com.